And now for Chapter 4 of the story, The Everlasting Wonka. Chapter 4, Without Wonka. The factory was entirely Charlie's now. No longer was Mr. Wonka there to lean on, learn from, or depend on. Depressed, not only at losing his grandparents, but now Mr. Wonka too, he went to his mom and dad's room. Trying to comfort each other, Charlie's mom suggested they get out of the factory for a little while, get some natural sunlight to help take the blues away. Living in the factory never saw much light. There were sunroofs here and there, but they were still shut off from the outside world. So they did what his mom recommended. They piled into the glass elevator and took off through the ceiling as Charlie reminisced about his first trip in the elevator with Mr. Wonka. Getting out into the sunlight, that did the trick, and inspired Charlie with his next new idea and invention. He exclaimed, "A garden! A candy garden! You already have the chocolate room, Charlie. Why, that's just like a garden," his mom replied. "Yes," Charlie rebutted, "but that is inside. I'm talking about a garden outside with grass you can eat, cotton candy trees, a taffy merry-go-round, lollipop seesaws, swings of liquor strips, and a sandbox full of the finest shaved chocolate, white chocolate. We can call it the chocolate box, and use the white chocolate that will look just like sand. The moms and dads could let their kids eat it instead of yelling at them, 'Don't eat the sand.'" Charlie was getting louder as he continued to exclaim, We'd have enormous candy cane poles to slide down, and even a gingerbread house trimmed in with huge pieces of candy being big enough for someone to live in." "But Charlie," his dad interrupted, "it will melt in the hot sun." Charlie put his hand on his dad's shoulder and grinned. "Dad, you're talking to the Candyman now. Mr. Wonka invented ice cream that wouldn't melt on the hottest day in July. He made kites of compressed candy, fruit candy, that endured the wind, rain, and sun. Come now, back to the factory. No time to dilly or dally. We have so much time and so little to do." Charlie's speech stopped dead in its tracks. He, along with his parents, realized that he was even beginning to talk just like Mr. Wonka now. A short second later, Charlie said, "Wait a second. Stop. Reverse that. Okay. Onward. Moving right along now. Folks, on we go." Charlie shouted as they took the Wonkavator back to a safe landing. Charlie's walk back through the factory was a mimic of Mr. Wonka, followed by his parents, struggling to keep up. It was as if Charlie was possessed with the same charisma, innovation, and quirkiness. So Charlie and his workers began making the outdoor garden and playground a reality. Charlie didn't share the secret ingredients with anybody, or the directions on how to make the durable edibles for outside. He just kept them in his head, where no one could touch them. Okay, I'm gonna continue on anyway. Hope that doesn't fall again. He just kept them in his head where no one could get to them and steal them. The day arrived faster than Charlie thought possible. It was time to send out public accountants and invitations welcoming all to come and see the garden. The population was notified by TV, radio, newspapers, and the internet, and especially by social media. Charlie beckoned for all children to come and play on his delightful, magical playground. At the grand opening ribbon cutting, Charlie declared, "I know we all wish Mr. Wonka could be here. As you know from what you've read in the newspapers, he has left this old land free and is in candy heaven with cotton candy clouds, eating from a huge banquet table more amazing than our minds could ever conceive." He paused for a moment of respectful silence. Then he spoke loud and clear for all to hear. "But we are not here to mourn. We are here to celebrate, just as Mr. Wonka originally told all the lucky winners of the golden tickets. So I tell you, please stay very calm. Don't lose your head. We wouldn't want any of you to do that. Now I, formerly Charlie Bucket, now Charlie Wonka Bucket, declare this park, the new Wonka World, open!" With those words, Charlie cut the candy ribbon, and all the police, security guards, and special riot prevention SWAT teams could not hold back the rush of people. On to Chapter 5.